Hello, everyone. Dr. Allen here. Hope you're having a great week. A few things. One, thank you all for the patience while I was in Florida. Last week, I think I got back to everyone as quick as I could that may have emailed. Seemed like everything went pretty smooth with the Google Classrooms. I'm going to be grading those this week. Whenever I talk, I'm always like a week because I'm recording it the week after the assignments, but you all don't care about that. Just going to give a shout out for the websites. Websites were really good. Everyone's grades should be posted if they were submitted. If I missed anyone's, just fire me an email if you happen to email the link to me. One thing I wanted to make note of, don't forget, you should be posting um, your assignment under assignment. Your blog should be under the blog tab, and discussion should be under the discussion tab. There's one or two people I think were putting the blog and the assignment together. Not a big deal. I'm able to separate all that, but just for I guess quicker grading so I don't mess up anything or overlook anything. Just make sure you have them in the right spots. Not a big deal though. It's usually pretty easy to figure out. Excuse me. One other thing, just to make sure we're all on the same page, so I don't want to give anyone a heart attack and such. If you happen to see like a weird number, like a 6 or a 7, I may have made this point before. It's usually because I'm having trouble with the tech, and I'll email you. There was one or two with the websites, the links weren't working, and it was very easy fix. Either send me a screenshot or the link again worked. I will update the grades. I think I got everyone's updated that sent me a link on the website that needed to be redone. If I didn't, just fire me again an email. There should be like a rubric. It's a very straightforward rubric that you get back with the tech, and then, of course, the discussion boards and the blog. So most weeks you'll have at least those 3 grades. With that being said, this week we're going to actually look at presentation software, and let me just give you an overview. I think most weeks I'll just talk a little bit about the tech as we're going through it, to try to keep this somewhat in a decent time frame for everyone. I think I originally said 15-20 minutes at most. Let's see if we can do that. But a few things. One, this week you're going to be looking at presentation software. I'm going to focus on Nearpod, but I do want just to make note that there are other types. Pear Deck is one that I have used before, and some of you may see it. I think some of the Maryland schools especially use Pear Deck because it has some connections to Google. For this assignment this week, I don't mind if anyone wants to roll with Pear Deck because it pretty much operates the same if you want to check it out. But I'll expand on that here in a few minutes. Powtoons is another one that you can add a little bit of flash to everything. Symbola is an app type thing. It has a bunch of different apps you can use for presentations and such. And Prezi, I'll admit, Prezi was in vogue about 10, 12 years ago. I don't see it used as much unless someone had made Prezis and are still using them. But with that being said, I do see them once in a while. Actually, I was looking at one yesterday. Someone had did for another class, and I was actually doing a little bit of research, and one was on there. So they're other types of presentation software if you want to check them out. But we're going to primarily focus on Nearpod for a few reasons. One, I think it's the most famous. Two, I'm not going to lie, it's easily my most favorite. It's my favorite of all of them. Honestly, as far as the tech goes for this class, this is probably the one I use the most. Just because it basically, here's what I think. Think about Nearpod or Pear Deck, especially those two. They are basically PowerPoints on steroids. They add a little bit to it. You can add more of like formative style assessments to them. You can add some bells and whistles. You can kind of add some interactive aspects to your lessons. So we're going to talk about this specifically Nearpod. Readings, Tech Like a Pirate. They're going to talk about using apps in there. Feel free to check anything that he suggests in that book out as far as a resource. What you're going to do this week, make sure that you check out the video on Nearpod. And again, if you're going to use Pear Deck, check that out. I will have a YouTube video up of both just in case you need them. They should be down here, hopefully. Yep. If you need them in Pear Deck. And actually, there's some on Powtoons and the rest down there too. But for the assignment, it's only really these two. I would stress this one. All right. So let me see. Anything else I need to point out to you? I saw some people have also done some people have started to do the Apple Classroom. I'm sorry, Apple Educator certification in the Apple Classroom. That's awesome. You are welcome to work ahead with that. That's the certification one. You can turn that in now. Don't forget that is not due actually until April, at the end of April. That's actually the final, but you're welcome to work ahead. And some people have, no problems. If you're in Education 500, we have a couple people in from that section of this tech class. I'm going to double check because I moved you all over. I just thought about this. You do have a research paper for this. I mentioned it in the first week. I will make sure all that stuff is out to you and posted in this class section because I don't want you to have to jump back and forth between them. Again, that's also not due until the end of April, but it was something that I thought of actually coming back from Florida for some reason that you probably, I don't want you to have to jump back and forth. It's in the 500 section, but since I have you enrolled in this one also, you probably don't see it here. So I don't want you to have to worry about it. But that's just for the graduate students with the with the paper. All right. So what are we going to do? We're going to do Nearpod. Enough of me babbling. Sorry, that was not an earthquake. That was my computer sliding across my desk. All right, Nearpod. Let me just tell you, I like Nearpod. I use it at Shepherd. I used it when I taught middle school. It's something that I think it adds a lot to the class. But let's do this. I actually just used it at the presentation I was at in Florida. It's right down there. Let me just show you a few things though. All right, I'm going to log out. Again, just to give you this disclaimer also, you can sign up for Nearpod for free. Should be able to do it with your Google account. Let's click. Usually you can. We'll make sure you pick teacher. If it ever asks you for a school, you're welcome to put Shepherd University. That's no problem. You can sign in with Google. Mine is actually because it was before. I'm so old that it was not with a Google. I've actually been using this for about 10 years. They keep adding things to it. I will say this, there are upgrades. If you notice when I signed in, I'm a gold member. That's because I pay a little bit of money. You do not need to do that though. I have a few more bells and whistles that you all won't have with the free account. That's neither here nor there. Also, a few things. Most counties have a Nearpod account for you. You can just ask your administrators. The only thing I will tell you, there's a lot of pluses that. One, you usually get the whole package, and they usually have pre-made PowerPoints in them. Awesome. The only thing bad about it is if you don't have your own account and you move stuff over, you can't take it with you. So if you're using the county account, that's their stuff. So make sure you have your own account. Especially if you're making your own Nearpods, make sure you get it in there somehow. It's very easy to do. Actually, we're going to learn about it here in a minute. So that's a few things, especially if you switch that county, obviously, they keep it. So, all right, let's do this. I'm going to log in. And I'm going to show you a few things. I'm going to show you how to make a Nearpod. I'm going to show you some of the things that it does and some of the benefits for your students. Now I'm sorry, I didn't check the password before I signed in. Let's see if I was smarter or not. Yes, awesome. Saturday afternoon, it's all working out for me. Like I say, I just actually did this, but this is not the PowerPoint or the Nearpod I want to show you because it doesn't have all the stuff. Let me pull one up. Some of you may have seen me use this one before, but I'm going to use it anyway because I think I've thrown a lot of bells and whistles in this one. There's a few things you can do. As you can see here, there are a lot of Nearpods that are already pre-made, and you are welcome to check those out. Some are free, some you have to pay for. There's a few, if you can notice, I can scroll down and show you. They used to have a lot more free ones when it first started, and I kind of downloaded those into my account and still have them. There are a few I've paid $2.99 and such for. I haven't, since I'm not teaching specifically social studies content anymore, I haven't updated or downloaded any recently. Most of them are ones that I've made. But just to kind of show you what this is all about. All right. There are a lot of cool stuff with Nearpod, and I think I have it all in here. We're not going to worry about the content. But one of the things that's on here is as you can look here, let's move this face out of the way. This is something where when you're doing a Nearpod, you're going to get a code. Well, let's just do it right. We're going to do it. Let's do it right. I'll show you. You see, your students are going to get a code, and it's going to look like this. And they're on their devices. They're going to go to nearpod.com, and it's going to ask for a code, and they just put this in. Anytime, by the way, as you can see, you can actually embed this in your Google Classroom. Another nice thing about Nearpod is you can either do it self-paced or you can do it as a class. Traditionally, I usually do it with my class, but I know sometimes a lot of people like to set up independent work ones that they do for subs or even just for stations and things like that. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch that you can share. Anytime you need that code, it's right there, and actually you can click it and it's right there. But when you go through, once you have all of your students come in, they will have this screen on their device. At Shepherd, I usually just do phones because everyone has a phone, but we also have iPads. A lot of your schools, a lot of people use the Chromebooks, but it doesn't matter the device, it will show up on there. Just to go back through, that first thing that popped up was a cork board. So when my students, like if I said name someone you would consider intelligent, they're going to type that on there and all the answers are going to come up on there on sticky notes. Now you can change the design of the sticky notes and all that. I'm not going to get into that, but they would just show up and it would literally just look like a white or yellow sticky note coming on here. Another thing that I just want to say while I'm thinking about it with Nearpod, when your students sign in, I would strongly suggest to make them sign in with their real names. For obvious reasons, I don't need nicknames, numbers after nicknames, things like that. One reason why is you can download all these results. So as soon as the students answer this, you can download it. You can actually see the answers and actually take them as assignments or formative information checks, things like that. Formative assessment checks, excuse me, checks. Very simple. Also, I do it for even at Shepherd. If I do a Nearpod like first thing, I use it for my attendance. So I can download all the results and such. I'll show you that too in a few minutes. I'm not worried about content again, but just to show you some of the things that are on here. There's the cork board. There's also, I don't have it on here. There's something called Time to Climb that's a lot of people like. This is one where students would just click the answer and then it shows up. It's a poll. You'll get the results. Show a few other things. Again, corkboard. I think I have a few hidden in here. That's why I wanted to make sure just to show you some of the things. Again, there's just a straight quick Q&A. There we go. I think I have a field trip. There are a ton of things. I'm going to show you how to embed all this stuff here in a few minutes. I just want to show you the bells and whistles. But you see, you can do field trips. There's a lot of VR type stuff that you can do. Usually if you type in site, it'll find it for you. Like this is the Louvre. I used to do this. Again, make sure you check. It's almost like a movie though. Make sure you're checking this out before you share with your students, because I remember doing one that was in a city street and there was some stuff written on a lamp that somehow my students found. So you want to make sure they have a goal when you use the VR type stuff and what they're doing. You can have instant things where they answer and all the answers will pop up. And actually, if I get my face out of the way again, you can do this from a student view or a teacher view and all the names will show up. And actually, I should have showed the poll, but the poll numbers will be right there too. And again, there you go. See, and there's the results will be right there. I knew I had another poll in there. That's kind of, there's one on here. I'm surprised I don't have it on there. Oh, there's an emoji. There it is. You can also draw. Let me go back to student. And these can be shared. My students used to like that. They can also insert images and add things to it. But basically, what I'm saying with all of this, you create the PowerPoint, you download the PowerPoint in the Nearpod, and then you can insert those other things. And I think that's pretty much the bells and whistles I'll probably get out of this for you. You can see who students are in there and such. Yep, that was the last one. All right, let me go back. Yeah, do you want to, oh, by the way, you can leave a session and come back pretty simply, but I'm not going to do that. Oh, well, yes. All right, guess I am going to do it. All right. I know that was a very quick crash course. That's just, I wanted to show you a few things on there. There's also things called like Time to Climb. There's videos, all that stuff that you can add in there. So you're probably saying, Dr. Allen, you're talking a lot. What in the world do I need to do all this? Okay. Well, one, you can always go to the Nearpod library and you can type in different grades and subjects, and there are pre-made ones here. Again, you might have to check and see if they're free or not. I always go social studies. Sorry, that's my area. So I'm always looking for stuff. And as you can see, usually, because I'm a gold member, I have some stuff on here, and these are all available to me, and I can download them or check them. You see where it says add to my lesson. Um, that's Time to Climb. That's one that's very popular with a lot of elementary schools where you're basically answering questions. If you've ever watched The Price is Right, you ever seen the mountain climber? Ooh-dee-doo-doo-doo, he's going up the hill. That's a very popular one. So sorry, I don't even see the question. Let's just we'll do physical. I don't know if that's right, but well, it's not gonna let me do it. Okay. Um, but it's not gonna let me do it. That's all right. I don't think because I downloaded them, I'm previewing, but that just goes up. Let me go back. Kind of got off track there. As you can see, I have a lot, and what I want to show you all for your assignment, what you need to do, I'm kind of all over the place slightly here. Let me go back and pull up my mess of a key here. I should have something called source. That'll work perfect. And that's my resource list. No, I don't want that. Right there. I'll show you what I'm doing here in 1 second. All right. Now, here's what I want you all to do this week. Now, there's all those ones that are pre-made. They're very nice. I want you all to make your own Nearpod. So what you're going to do, you're going to hit go. Once you get your login, you come to the screen. And as you look here, it'll say My Lessons. You hit Create. And then there's all this. You could actually, that's the what I'm kind of getting at here is you can import stuff from Google Slides, which is right there, or you can make a PowerPoint and do it in here. Now, two things. I'm going to hold 2 fingers for 2. One, you can actually make slides in Nearpod, like your PowerPoint slides. I would suggest not doing that. I like Nearpod a lot, but I don't think it's quite as smooth as making it in a PowerPoint itself. And if you make it in the PowerPoint, you can easily move the slides over into Nearpod. That's what I would recommend doing. Now, you don't have to do that, and I'll show you how to make the slides individually or the PowerPoint. The only downside to doing the PowerPoint method, you can't edit the slides once they're in there. Now, it's an easy fix. You just fix the slide on the PowerPoint and then move that slide over into it and jostle it around. But what I'm saying is I would make a PowerPoint and then download it into the Nearpod, and then you're going to add some features. So how do you do that? You sign in, you hit create, you hit lesson, and you slowly get to this. Now this is pretty nice. There's a lot of stuff going on here, and you can see there's Time to Climb, there's poll, these are all the bells and whistles. And you can see they're the most popular. We're not worried about any of that right now. Let's get out of that. Okay, see where it says drop files here? It says PowerPoint, PPT, PDF, PNG. Can't do, I'm an Apple person. If you look down here, I actually have Pages, but I convert everything to PowerPoint or Word or whatever. I just did my conference one. That is a PDF. That has, I think, like 15 slides in it. What I'm going to do, after I've converted it to a PowerPoint or PDF, I'm going to drag it over here. And I'm going to make it individual slides. And if you watch, it's going to load them up. I'm going to say OK. It's going to give me a wheel here in a minute, I believe. File processing. OK. And let's get out of that again. And you'll see, hopefully they're going to all show up here in a minute. Maybe. Possibly. There we go. Okay. As you can see, they all popped up. Awesome. So all that's there. That's my PowerPoint. And if you make a PowerPoint, that's all you have to do. Create, drag it over, drop it. It's there. Now you're probably saying, Dr. Allen, that's awesome. But you said there's all this cool stuff you can do for like formative assessment or activities for your students and all that. That is true. And here's how you add them. If you saw, they were trying to have me do it already. See where it says add content or activities? There's draw, Time to Climb, matching pairs, video. I have it on there, and we'll go back and look at the assignment itself. Actually, let's do that right now. If you look, there's an assignment here. that you're going to have to make a 10-slide PowerPoint, Google Slides, and load it into Nearpod. Then you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to, it's all down here. Sorry, it kind of ran together. You're going to need to add one poll question. You're going to need to have one open-ended question, and then you can have one quiz. Now, if you want, you can do one of the other features. When I made this, those were the straightforwards. Those were the things that were available on the free Nearpod account. If it offers you other things and you want to add those instead, that does not bother me. I don't think the collaborative with the sticky notes is still on the free account, but I just want you to add 3 things to in addition to it to show that you can do it. So for example, I'm going to do a poll. And again, my face is always annoying. I've got my little blue square high up. I'm going to hit add. And it should be prompting me to say what my poll is. So let's do this. What is the best mid Atlantic state? And you can say, we're going to cheat a little bit here, just abbreviate. And you can add an answer. We all know the last one is the best one, best Virginia, right? But hit save. Now, if you look where I might want to do that as like a bell ringer, an opening exercise. It's right now it's down there, easy peasy. You just grab it and you can slide it up. And I'm going to put it as the first question. That's it. And of course, always save. But maybe I need to add some more other things. So I go here. I said one of the things you have to add is a quiz. You just hit quiz. And I think this goes without saying, try to do something content oriented that you might be teaching. Try to, do something you might be able to use out in the field. All the schools have one-to-one basically now, either Chromebooks, iPads, things like that. Open in the question, who was the first person to see what is today West Virginia? And it's Ledner, Jefferson. And the correct answer is Ledner. So I'm not going to add anything because it's fine. Those two are doing the job. And same thing. And maybe I will put that. That actually works perfectly right around here. If you see the map, actually, I like it right there. So we'll do that. And then maybe I want to add one more. And as you can see, there's a draw, the collaborate. If you look, these are most popular. I need to show you all of them, don't I? So you see, there's a whole bunch of other interactive things. The BBC video, the virtual field trip, which I mentioned, if you want to do something with that. Again, I don't think that's part of the free one, but let's see if I can, it should let me search. Let's see if it has something on West Virginia. I haven't done this in a little bit. I haven't looked probably since last August. Oh, there's Greenbrier. That works, and then you just add that in there, and then you can, let's do a field trip on there, and we'll put that right there. And once I've added it, as you can see, I have over 10 slides. Let's save and exit. It's there. Now, I'll show you how to turn this in a minute, but as you can see here, there's going to be 2 ways you can submit this to me too. See those 3 dots? You click that. You can either export it as a PDF and just submit the PDF. That's fine. I don't have to do the questions. I just want to see that you did it. So if you export it as a PDF, like that poll question, I won't be able to do it. That's fine. But I can see that you added it. And that's really what I want to see. I'm sure your poll is great, but and also, as you can see, you can run the reports. I mentioned that. So once your students do it, there's all types of data. I'll see if I have one on here. I can show you some data. You can duplicate it, things like that. You can share with other teachers. You should be able to get a link. There it is. I don't care which one you do. Most people in this class traditionally have just done the PDF because I think it's less hassle because you can just slide it on the Brightspace. But as long as I can see it or take part in it, that's fine. That's kind of it. Let me show you. I do want to show one thing. Let me see if I can hit the edit button. Might actually have to edit. You have to actually hit the edit button. As you can see, I didn't show you some of the other bells and whistles on here. I was doing all the most popular ones. They're the ones I do too. There's matching. Um, like I say, I have to admit, I'm not for sure what he's. I think there's a platinum account. I don't even know what that gets into. It's a little too rich for my blood. Um, as you can see, my students used to really love draw it, time the climb, drop and drag, where you like match things. It's like a memory type game. Fill in the blanks here, the virtual field trip. Any of this stuff, if it's on here, it counts as one of the things. I just need to see three bells and whistles. It doesn't specifically have to be the poll, the quiz, or the fill or the short answer one. Those just usually are the ones that most people use. As you can see, there's games, there's discussion. You are welcome to check all this out. But that's Nearpod. I did want to show you one other thing I did say. Let me save and exit the reports. And I believe, let's see if I use this one. Oh, good. Let's see. Ah, look at that. Look at that. I did. And here's kind of what it has on here. As you can see, these aren't current students, and there was no grade with this, so I'm not too worried about pulling this up. But you can go back and look at like activity reports and things like that, student reports specifically for each one, and such. So I'm not going to hang around in there too much, though, even though they're not current students. I don't want to put that all on there. So that's things on there. The only reason I'm showing you that, let's see if we can do. I wish I had one that didn't have like all those student any names. I'll probably blur those out anyway on this before I do something like that. Thinking out loud. That's always something you got to think about with tech, what you're posting, what you're showing. But if you look on here, let's see if I have anything else. Well, that's all right. I think you get the point. If you just go in there and pull up one of these sessions, I actually always thought you could get data for EdTPA purposes. Um, that'd be a good Dr. Johnson question. She is the EdTPA guru, but that's really all I got for you. That's it. Nearpod. Let me just go ahead and just get out of there. But that's, you need to make one of those. So let's just rehash. Nearpod. It's like PowerPoint on steroids. It does a little bit of extra type stuff. It can make your class a little more interactive. I will tell you some drawbacks though. Make sure, as always, the tech is on point, tech is charged. Student screen should always be on the Nearpod. With any tech, you got to make sure. Internet can sometimes be a little bit of a headache with that, especially if the school's internet is poor. Sometimes there's a delay and the results don't flow as quick as you would want. Doesn't seem to happen as much as it did like 10 years ago because of advances and stuff. But what you need to do is you need to make a Nearpod. And as it says here, create a 9-slide content PowerPoint, load it over, and add 3 Nearpod bells and whistles. After you're done that, you got a blog on it, whether you would use it or not. And of course, do the discussion board. Those are your 3 assignments this week. I think this is a good tech. I'm probably babbling a little bit, and I've said that multiple times, but I just think it's something that can help you. It's not something you have to use all the time. I usually try to limit myself to 1 or 2 times a week when I had it with my middle school students, because sometimes if I just wanted a quick info check, I will say this though, I started to use it a lot more before I came to Shepherd. Only because once my students and I kind of got like we're on the same page like with my expectations, that yes, it's kind of a cool tech, but we're doing it to learn. I did start to use it a lot more, and also some of it depends on what the extras are that you're doing. Drawing is fun. Sometimes I did notice sometimes my students could get a little distracted with the drawing type stuff. Not always. It's just dependent on the class. I don't think that anything I'm saying there is groundbreaking. But I usually tried to keep it, if I was like really trying to do something, I tried to keep it on more collaborating, short answer, poll questions and stuff like that. Field trip was also kind of fun. With the iPads, it's really cool because you can do all this and it moves them around. So anyway, I believe that will do it. Hope everyone's having a good semester. I guess we're week 4. Holy moly. I guess we're starting to get really into this now. As always, I see a lot of you in the hall. It's great to see faces with names. Asynchronous, sometimes it's not always that great when you can't do that. So it's nice to actually know things. That's one reason why we did the Google Arts and Culture. Thank you again for your patience with me last week being out of town. Hopefully, also, last thing with announcements, hopefully, if you didn't get a chance, not a requirement, but I try to share tech that I run into. Check out this video if you have a chance. It was a presentation I saw, and he talked about. I know I'm a little bit of a Star Wars geek, but at least the old ones, not the sequels. Um, it's not always really about Star Wars. He just used that to get people into the session, like me. He talks about using videos and movies in the classroom and what you need to consider, especially in terms of primary source, secondary source stuff. And also, I don't think I put it on here, and I have no clue why I didn't. I want to show you something real quick. Sorry, I thought we were done, but I just thought this was pretty cool. And I'll post this. I think it's in my Google Docs. Let's hope. I thought I saved it. I went to another session, and I thought this was a little bit of a tech thing. There it is. Look at me. Sometimes I'm on the ball. Sometimes. You can tell it's Saturday. It's a long week. I was tired. All right. See if I can get this open. Okay. If you look, these were the two, they were awesome presenters, but they talked about colorized images. This is nothing other than me just doing a little bit of an info share. So if you want to hang around for like a minute, check it out. That would be great. But as you look, one thing they were trying to get into, and I'm going to show you the tech that was involved with this. They were talking about using colorized images in the classroom and whether it's appropriate or not. And what they were talking about, it was a social studies thing, and a lot of people there were historians, and they were talking about whether it's a primary source or not, or does it take away from the authenticity. I was actually talking to some in the history department about it this week and such. And it's interesting, the different points of view. I have to admit, this is not to sway anyone. When I'm teaching, my main goal is to teach the content because most of my students are not going to be historians, but I want them to know the content. So I lean towards, actually, I strongly lean towards, I thought the colorization really added something to the lesson, even if it's a comparative thing. I think it's important to show the old image. But this was something on the civil rights, but one we really broke down a lot was this image right here. And it was the March on Washington. And I think she's got it. And specifically what we looked at was the crowd and some of the differences between this image and this image, and maybe having your students, this is the Library of Congress's primary source analysis form. But if you look to certain things, what are the differences? Are there things that you noticed, things that you didn't notice? One thing we talked about was that you could really tell that the diversity of the crowd, which was really encouraging to see in the image itself. Of course, you can see I was trying to getting good with the presenters. Then I was actually paying attention. I talked about the flag popping a little bit, and maybe it draws you to that a little more. So anyway, the reason I show you all this was something on the suffragette movement and some colorized images. If you go to the bottom, I will post this for everyone this week. There are a ton of articles and things about colorized images. It's nothing that you're all doing that you have to do. And what I mean by that, you're not actually coloring the images. It's already done for you. But there's a lot of tech that's there if you ever want to check it out. So I considered it a tech, but this was the Library of Congress. This was one they had on the Civil Rights Movement and all the colorized images. This was one on the Library of Congress. Some of them are articles. As you can see, Martin Luther King Jr. and such, but you can find them on a lot of different things. Something that was really interesting too, they talked about back with the colored images thing. I have, for social studies, I have things about, they talk about like there's the technology now so advanced that they can do the digital colorizations and things like that. There's one lady, she's from Brazil. First name's Maria, and I forget her last name. She actually paints a lot of these, and she uploads them, and a lot of people like them. And she talks about how no matter if it's something on Asian history, US history, civil rights movement, she talks about the importance of skin color and skin tone because we all don't have the same color skin, no matter what your race, gender, anything like that. It's just we all have different hues. And she talked about the importance of that. Um, it was kind of interesting. So I don't know. There's no assignment with this or anything, but I just thought I'd share it, especially if you're doing some sort of secondary type topic, or if you just find it interesting. That was something I'd like to bring back and share. With that being said, I am going to shut up this week. You have to do your Nearpod. You have the option of doing Pear Deck. I'm not going to get into that because I'm not going to lie to you. I think Nearpod is definitely going to be the one that you're going to run into more than Pear Deck. But if you know your county uses it, or if you were a student there is a video on Pear Deck. It operates almost exactly the same. It's just got, I think it has more graphs, like Venn diagrams and stuff like that that you can insert. So feel free to check it out. There is a YouTube video up for instructions. And if my instructions stink, there is one up also on YouTube. Now, with that being said, I'm going to stop share. I don't have my glasses on. I'll go without, since their eyes are getting old. It's sometimes easier to do it without the glasses. That being said, I will talk to everyone this week and hope you have a good week.